Before we begin, tell me where you're listening from tonight. I like to know how far an old workshop full of strings can carry.
My name is Ruth Adler. I am 66. For most of my life, I have built and mended guitars on the same corner of Wren Street.
The whole street decided I was finished the week Julian Reyes opened next door. He was a legend. I was the old woman whose hands smelled of varnish. But what Julian Reyes did not know, what no one on that street knew, was that I still had the first guitar. And that guitar held the truth about everything.
Adler Strings was my father's before it was mine.
Henry built it with one bench, a box of clamps, and a way of listening to wood like it was telling him a secret. He used to say, a guitar isn't finished when it's built. It's finished the first time it makes someone cry on purpose. When his hands gave out, I took over the bench. I never married the work to money. The work was enough. By 60, I knew my regulars by the calluses on their fingers. The jazz man with the cracked thumbnail. The girl whose father's guitar I kept alive long after the father was gone. I knew the rhythm of my small, quiet corner, and I thought it would stay quiet forever. I was wrong. The shop beside mine had been empty for years. Then came the trucks, the black glass, the name in lit letters. Reyes Guitars.
You're not gonna believe who's opening next door. Julian Reyes, the Julian Reyes.
You have heard him, even if you don't know his name. The film themes, the one unmistakable tone, warm, with a sustain that hangs in the air like smoke. Critics called that sound his genius, his signature, a thing no other guitar could do. I read the article twice. The second time, I set down my coffee and went to the back of the shop. I opened a case I hadn't opened in 30 years and looked at a guitar with a pale cedar top. Because that sound the whole world calls his genius, my father built it. And I gave it away to a barefoot boy who had nothing. He had forgotten us. I had not forgotten him. It was the summer I turned 36. A boy started showing up at our door. 12, maybe, barefoot. He never came in. He just stood on the sidewalk and listened while my father tested the instruments. My father noticed him before I did. Henry noticed everyone.
That boy's been there an hour, Ruthie. He's not begging, he's listening. There's a difference, and it's everything.
One evening, my father carried a stool to the doorway and set it down. He didn't say a word to the boy. He just left it there and went back to work. It took 3 days for the boy to sit on it.
I'm not gonna touch anything. I just like the sound. I'll go if you want.
The sound's free, the stool's free, sitting's free. Stay as long as the music does.
His name was Jules. He never told us his last name, and we never asked. My father taught me that. You feed a hunger, you don't interrogate it. One afternoon, Henry put an old practice guitar in his lap. The boy's whole body was nerves, except his hands. His hands went still and certain, like they'd been waiting 12 years for something to hold.
I don't know what I'm doing. I never had lessons.
Good. Lessons teach you the rules. You already know the thing the rules are trying to reach. Play it again.
He played it again, and my father looked at me the way he looked at a piece of wood that was about to become something. That summer, between paying jobs, my father built a guitar, pale cedar. He worked on it at night and wouldn't say who it was for. I knew. When it was done, he glued a small label inside and let it dry. Then he put it in the boy's arms.
I can't take this. I can't pay for it.
I didn't ask you to pay. I asked you to play. Look inside when you doubt yourself.
Inside, in my father's hand. For a boy with music in his hands. Jules left at the end of that summer to chase something bigger. He didn't write. We told ourselves the music was the letter. 30 years later, that guitar's tone was on every screen in the world, and the boy had a new last name and no memory of Wren Street.
Reyes Guitars opened with a red carpet and a string quartet on the sidewalk. People paid to stand near the glass. He came into my shop on the second day, not to buy, to measure.
Charming. They really don't make these little places anymore, do they?
He said it like a thing already in the past tense.
You must be the owner. You've had a good long run.
A run, like a song winding down to its last bar. 66 years, I told him, and still tuning. He smiled, already turning away. He didn't know me. But I knew him. I knew the way he cradled a guitar to test it, left ear down to the sound hole, eyes closed. My father stood exactly like that. He taught the boy, without ever knowing the boy would forget. A week later, a man in a sharp coat slid a folder across my bench.
Mrs. Adler, the Reyes Group would like to buy out your lease, very generously. A graceful exit.
There it was, graceful. Exit. I closed the folder and pushed it back. Tell Mr. Reyes I'm flattered. The answer is no.
He isn't used to hearing no.
Then it'll be a good lesson. He always did learn fast.
Why not take it, Ruth? That's retirement money. That's never work again money.
Some things aren't for sale, Sam, even when the price is fair. Pass me the small chisel. After the no, the small trouble started. The kind with no fingerprints. A noise complaint no neighbor would admit to. An inspector, my wood supplier, suddenly out of the cedar I'd bought from him for 20 years. The landlord mentioned gently that someone had asked about the building. Julian Reyes never raised his voice. Men who own the room never do. They just tilt the floor a little, day by day, and wait for you to slide off. What he didn't know was that I'd been standing at that bench for 40 years. My feet knew every board. I had no intention of sliding. There's a music writer in our city whose column can fill a hall or empty one. Julian gave her a private session. The photos were everywhere by morning. Her piece was mostly about him. But near the end, she turned to me. Next door sits a sweet little relic, Adler strings, sincere, dusty, and tuned firmly to the past. Sam went quiet.
She's never even heard one of your instruments.
I know. That's what makes it interesting. A man who's already won doesn't hire a pen to bury a shop that's already dying. You only do that to a thing you're afraid is still singing. That week, a customer of 20 years walked past my door and kept walking. That one I felt in my teeth. I came down at 3 a.m. and sat among the instruments, which are the only company that never lies to you. I thought about selling. The folder was still in the drawer. I'm too old to pretend I wasn't tempted. Then I took down the cedar guitar and tuned it string by string, and it held, bright and true after 30 years. And I understood why a giant worked so hard to step on one ant. Because somewhere under the velvet, the giant remembers. His hands remember a doorway and a stool and a man who asked nothing. That Sunday, I cleaned the guitar the way my father taught me. New strings, the pale cedar polished soft. I tuned it until it rang.
That's not one of ours. I've never seen it.
It's older than anything on these walls. Carry it next door for me, Sam. Put it in Julian Reyes's hands, not the assistant, his. I wrote 3 words on a card and slipped it under the strings. Sam told me later that the great Julian Reyes took it half annoyed, expecting a stunt, that he strummed it once out of habit to judge a rival's build, and that he stopped breathing.
He found the card, Ruth. He read it twice. Then he turned the guitar over and looked inside the sound hole and just sat down on the floor.
3 words, still in tune. That night, the lights in the Reyes window went dark, an hour early. And at 9 o'clock, there was a knock at my back door. He stood in the rain with no umbrella, holding the guitar like it might shatter. No velvet jacket, just a man.
It's you. The doorway, the stool, the man who put a guitar in my arms and didn't ask my name.
Hello, Jules. Come in out of the rain.
I told the world I was self-taught, the boy who made himself. I said it so many times, I almost forgot the stool.
I made tea. I set the guitar between us and turned it so he could read the label. My father's hand, for a boy with music in his hands.
Every interview they ask where the sound came from. I say it's a mystery, even to me. It was never a mystery. It was your father's cedar and your father's patience, and I let them call it mine.
You could end me, Ruth. One photograph of this label, the whole legend comes apart.
He was right. I could have. And he sat there waiting for me to do it.
Here's what no one tells you about the moment you finally hold the power. You learn who you are by what you refuse to do with it. I could have ruined him. The street that called me a relic would have called me brave. But my father didn't build that guitar so I could swing it like an axe. I'm not going to end you, Jules.
Then what do you want?
The truth. Not for the cameras. For you. You've been trying to bury this corner because it's the one place that remembers the barefoot boy. You can't write a song tall enough to drown that out. So stop trying. Sing it instead.
How do I make it right?
You already know. You always had the ear. Use it on your own life for once. 2 weeks later, Julian Reyes opened a concert by holding up a pale cedar guitar and telling 40,000 people about a doorway, a stool, and a man named Henry Adler. He called the tone the Adler sound. He set up a fund in my father's name for kids with music in their hands and no way to hold it. The line that wrapped around his glass began to wrap around my door. The inspector never came back. The cedar arrived again.
We're not exactly friends, Julian and I. It's more honest than that. But on quiet Fridays, a man in a velvet jacket slips in my back door, ties on an apron, and learns to build the thing he only ever knew how to play.
People think power is the thing you take. I held all the proof in the world in a dusty case, and the strongest thing I ever did was choose not to use it as a weapon.
They were looking at my apron. They never heard the guitar. Maybe you've been counted out too, called dated or done by people who never once listened closely. If so, I want you to know your corner matters, your story matters, and it isn't over.
Write to us at vellumoflife@gmail.com. Tell it however it comes. Every name is changed, your privacy is absolute. And leave a comment with the city you're listening from. I love knowing how far this old workshop carries tonight.
Until the next chapter.